when you see what's the news and the war from behind the TV is really different when you go on the ground.
Hi, I'm Sarah Forster, news editor here at The National, and thank you for joining me for this week's episode of A Closer Look. Now, as the war between Israel and Gaza rages on, The National was invited to go and see firsthand what it's like down at the border in Arish in Egypt. We sent our reporter Ali Shouk, and he's joining me now to talk about the experience. Ali, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for hosting me, Sarah.
So, Ali, it was a long day, right, for you?
Yeah.
It was, I think, what did you say, 27 hours, no
Yeah,
sleep?
it's about 27 hours.
But you saw a lot whilst you were there.
Yeah.
So this is what I want you to explain to me. First, this is your first-hand account of
Yeah.
being there on the border. Now, obviously, the real story is the people you met. And we're going to get to them. But first of all, just explain quickly where you went, because it wasn't a quick get there, turn around, come back. You saw a number of places. Just tell me what you saw.
Yeah, so the National was invited to a trip to the Egyptian city of Al Arish by the UAE government. So we went to this city and then we moved around in the city. We first landed in the airport, Al Arish International Airport, where we saw like an Emirati jet loading airdrops, and then we went all the way to Rafah border on the Egyptian side. And then we went to the desalination plants beside the border, and then the Emiratis, they took us to the medical and stores and other stores, and later we went to the UAE floating hospital. So it's been a lot of stops during this trip.
Yeah, no wonder you were gone for so long. So you saw the desalination plant, which obviously was built by the UAE to provide clean water to the people of Gaza. You saw the plane about to do an airdrop and provide aid to the people of Gaza. You saw the floating hospital and the stores, which is, I presume, somewhere where they're just storing the aid, like the warehouses.
Yes, warehouses and medical supplies.
Yeah.
So first we stopped in the airport. Immediately after we left the airplane, we saw like a military jet, Emirati military jet on the left side. We went and we saw Emiratis putting the airdrops inside the airplane, and the commander, he told us that it's like 38 airdrops, and they were waiting for permission to drop the airdrops to the people in Gaza, and especially in the north. And after that, we went to the medical store, where we've seen also an Emirati stuff, and it was incredible what the UAE has been doing on the ground. We've seen a lot of Emiratis volunteers and a lot of Emirati officials on the ground. They are making sure that all logistics are prepared. So the medical store is supposed to store the medicine and then should go to the Emirati hospital inside Gaza, actually. And there is also for the UAE floating hospital. And later they took us to the desalination plants. It's 6 plants, and it's a capacity of 1.6 million gallon. And it's to provide clean water for people, around 600,000 people inside Gaza. It's like 500 meters away from the border, and it has pipelines that going all the way inside the internal network of the water system inside Gaza. So yeah, that's pretty much.
It's interesting. So obviously the UAE is not just sending aid, they're sending people as well. You said you saw a lot of Emiratis there on the ground. Tell me a bit more about the floating hospital. What was it like? Because that's quite a surreal image for many people, to think of a floating hospital, which obviously was, built and constructed elsewhere and sailed to where it was needed. What's it like on board?
It's actually a state-of-the-art hospital. It's it's a huge vessel, and it's prepared to be as a proper hospital. This hospital has everything. It has an operation theater. It has 10 different wards. It has a pharmacy, ICU.
So it's not a makeshift.
No. It's like a proper hospital. Ambulances inside, Emirati doctors, medical staff there. They were treating injured people from Gaza, and also accompanied by their families also inside the ship, which is really interesting.
Yeah, because we know that when the UAE kind of, evacuates people, usually injured children and cancer patients, they usually come with their family members.
Yeah,
and they're housed here.
Yeah, actually, a group of 10 people, they returned back with us to the UAE. I mean, they were children, cancer patients, and they returned back with us on the same airplane.
Yeah. So those are the places that you physically went to, but you did also have contact with people inside Gaza as well, didn't you?
Yeah, actually they took us to a media briefing organized by the UAE government in cooperation with the Egyptian Authority. And we had like an interesting video conference with the director of the Emirati hospital inside Gaza, inside Rafah, with his medical staff.
The field hospital.
Yeah, the field hospital there. And it was like really amazing to speak with people inside Gaza while we were still outside Gaza. And they talked how about they are now receiving less injuries in the hospital. And they talked us about the hard times when there was a lot of bombing going around them and how they were treating a lot of cases for injured Palestinian. And it was really interesting to get more insight about what's going on in Gaza and how I mean, these brave doctors, Emirati doctors, they went inside Gaza and they're treating a lot of people in very hard condition. I mean, this is like the worst condition happening for the people of Gaza. I mean,
yeah, a war zone.
Yeah.
Did he explain why they're receiving fewer patients?
Well, he was saying that now it's less attacks in Rafah.
Okay.
And in Rafah, so this is why.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. So you and our wonderful cameraman Mahmoud you were there for 20 odd hours, but you met whilst you were there some journalists who had been there for months. What were they telling you about their experience?
Well, to be honest, Sarah, when you see what's the news in the war from behind the TV is really different when you go on the ground. So when I went on the ground to the Rafah border, it was kind of quiet, no people. Really nothing. And I spoke with a fellow journalist who've been there for a month, and he told me that in the past they usually used to go to the walls and they were hearing the people noises, the children, and they were even speaking with people from behind the wall. And he told me now there is only a complete silence, nothing.
So all the people that were living on the other side there,
beside the wall, yes,
no longer there.
Yeah, I mean, while we were in the bus, we had a look on the right side of the wall, and we managed to see a large scale of destruction in the houses. It's really visible; you can see it. So I'm guessing nobody's there.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen so many images of just the absolute, complete destruction of buildings and homes. So that's unfortunately to be expected. So we've covered the places that you went to, and now I'd love to know about the people that you spoke to. Who sticks out in your mind?
Basmala, she's like a 10 years old Palestinian girl, and she was like inside the hospital when we went, and she catch me from her smile. She's like a young girl, but she has like a small scar in her ear and her face. And we spoke with an Emirati doctor, Dr. Hamad Al Ahmed, and the doctor told me about her story, and I spoke for her for a little bit. So she is like a survivor from airstrike with her mother and other sister, Leon.
Yeah.
I spoke with her mother, and her mother told me like she lost 19 members of her family in this airstrike. They were gathered in one home with her parents, brothers, sisters, husband. She lost 2 daughters, and she only survived with her 2 other daughters. And so the doctor, they did like cosmetic surgery for Basmala to restore her smile again, and it was really successful surgery. A second one, it was for a 20-year-old Malak. She survived with only her 2 younger brothers. All her family died in an airstrike, and she has like a cut in her face after the airstrike, and but she was still smiling, and this is like really mesmerizing for me. It's really astonishing to see, I mean, people of bravery after even facing this disaster. I mean, they still have hope, they still have faith. And while we were speaking with Malak about her injury and how they just like they took a nerve from her leg to put it in her hand so she can move her hand again, and she actually told me that before 2 hours she received a call from her aunt who are still inside Gaza, and they've been bombed. And then the phone call was cut. She didn't know if her aunt and her other family members were survived or not. So this is the situation that Palestinians facing now.
Yeah. At any moment they could get a phone call.
Yeah. And all of them, when I speak with the patient there, they were telling me that how it's important to have like a ceasefire. I mean, at least for the sake of the people who still remain in Gaza.
Absolutely. Okay, Ali, so just to finish off, this was your first time to go there to Al Arish, to the border with Gaza, and see what's going on.
Yeah.
As you were leaving, when you were on the plane back, when you got home, you know, very early the next morning, what was your lasting memory of that experience?
Well, I still remember the faces of the children who we brought with us to the UAE. I mean, they had like a relief smile that they are finally leaving the conflict to a safe place.
All right, thank you so much, Ali.
Most welcome, Sarah.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of A Closer Look, brought to you from right here inside the Nationals newsroom in Abu Dhabi. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget, all of our previous episodes can be found on our YouTube channel.